Bitcoin radio, the sound of the chain.
Hello, friends. I hope you're all doing well. Today, let's dive into something really cool. Tokenization.
Tokenization.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a buzzword you hear a lot these days. But what does it actually mean? And why should we care?
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic, and for good reason. It has the potential to revolutionize how we think about ownership and value in the digital age.
Okay, so let's break it down. What exactly is tokenization?
Well, in the simplest terms, it's the process of taking something, an asset, like a piece of art, real estate, or even a part of a company, and turning it into a digital token that can be traded or tracked on a blockchain.
Okay, so we're talking about digital representations of real-world things.
Yeah.
But why is that such a big deal? I mean, we already have digital photos of artwork and digital records of property ownership.
That's true. But those digital files are just copies. They can be easily duplicated or tampered with. A token on a blockchain is different. It's unique and verifiable, like a digital fingerprint that can't be forged.
So it's not just about having a digital version of something. It's about creating a whole new system of ownership that's more secure and transparent.
Exactly. And that opens up a world of possibilities. For example, you've probably heard of NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, which are used to represent unique digital art.
Yeah, NFTs have been all over the news, people paying millions for digital artwork. But I have to admit, I'm still a little confused. What makes an NFT so valuable? Couldn't someone just right-click and save the same image?
That's a great question. What you're buying with an NFT is not just the image itself, but proof of ownership. It's like having a certificate of authenticity permanently attached to the artwork.
So it's like the difference between owning an original painting and having a print of it. The NFT proves that you own the real thing, even if it's digital.
Precisely. And this has huge implications for artists, especially digital artists who previously struggled to protect their work from being copied.
I see. So it's like giving digital art the same kind of scarcity and value that we associate with physical art. That's fascinating. But how does this whole process of creating a token actually work? Is it something anyone can do?
Well, the technical details can get a bit complex, but the basic idea is that you take information about the asset, like the artwork or the property deed, and create a unique digital token that represents it. This token is then stored on the blockchain, making it tamper-proof and easily transferable.
So it's like taking a physical asset and giving it a digital identity on the blockchain. And once it's there, it can be bought, sold, or traded just like any other asset.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting. Because once an asset is tokenized, we can do things with it that were never possible before.
Like what? Give me an example.
Imagine you own a building and want to sell a part of it. Traditionally, that would be a complex and expensive process. But with tokenization, you could divide ownership of the building into thousands of digital tokens and sell them individually.
So instead of selling the whole building, you could sell tiny fractions of it to a lot of different people.
Exactly. This is called fractional ownership. And it has the potential to democratize access to investments that were previously only available to the wealthy.
I can see how that would be appealing. Instead of needing millions to buy a whole building, someone could invest a much smaller amount and own a tiny piece of it.
Right. And it's not just real estate. Imagine owning a fraction of a famous painting, a racehorse, or even a piece of intellectual property. Tokenization opens up a whole new world of investment opportunities.
It's like we're breaking down these big, expensive assets into bite-sized pieces that anyone can invest in. But how do we ensure that all these fractional owners are treated fairly?
Yes, where smart contracts come in.
Okay, I've heard of smart contracts, but they always sounded a bit mysterious to me. Can you explain what they are and how they work?
Think of a smart contract as a set of rules that are automatically enforced on the blockchain. For example, if you're tokenizing a building and want to distribute rental income to the token holders, you can write a smart contract that does this automatically.
So it's like having a digital agreement that everyone has to follow. No more relying on middlemen or trusting someone to handle the payments fairly. The code does it all automatically.
Exactly. Smart contracts eliminate the need for intermediaries and ensure that everything is handled transparently and according to the agreed upon rules.
This is starting to feel like we're building a whole new financial system, one that's more efficient, transparent, and accessible.
In a way, we are. And it's all powered by this amazing technology called blockchain. But before we dive deeper into the technical side of things, let's take a step back and look at some specific examples of how tokenization is being used in the real world.
Okay, I'm ready for some real-world examples.
Yeah.
Show me how this is actually playing out.
Welcome back to our discussion on tokenization. Before we jump into more examples, I think it's important to address something that's probably on everyone's mind.
You mean like, how does cryptocurrency fit into all of this?
Exactly. Most people, when they hear tokenization, they immediately think of Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Yeah. It's true. It's kind of hard to avoid those associations. So can you help us untangle this? How does cryptocurrency relate to this broader idea of tokenization?
Well, in a way, cryptocurrencies were the trailblazers. They were some of the first examples of digital tokens being used to represent value and being traded on a decentralized network.
So they were like the proof of concept that this whole idea of digital ownership could actually work.
Exactly. They show that people were willing to trust and trade digital assets. And that paved the way for the broader concept of tokenization that we're talking about now, where we're applying these same principles to real-world assets.
So crypto was like the first chapter, and now we're writing the rest of the book with tokenization.
I like that analogy. And what's fascinating is that all of this is built on the same foundation, blockchain technology. It's the underlying system that makes all of this possible.
Okay, so let's talk about blockchain for a minute. It seems like everyone's talking about it these days, but can you explain in simple terms what it is and why it's so important for tokenization?
In essence, a blockchain is a digital ledger. It's like a giant public record book that's distributed across a network of computers. So instead of having one central authority controlling everything, the information is spread out and constantly being verified by the network.
So it's like a constantly updating spreadsheet that everyone can see, but no one can tamper with.
Exactly. And that makes it incredibly secure and transparent because every transaction is recorded on the blockchain. It's virtually impossible to forge a token or manipulate the system.
Okay, that makes sense. So blockchain provides the trust and security that's needed for tokenization to work. But let's get back to those real-world examples you mentioned. Where are we actually seeing tokenization being used today?
One area where it's already making a big impact is real estate. We talked earlier about fractional ownership. Well, there are now platforms that allow you to, let's say you own a building and you want to sell a part of it.
Right. Traditionally, that would be a huge hassle.
Exactly. It'd be a complex and expensive process.
Yeah.
But with tokenization, you can divide ownership of the building into thousands of digital tokens and sell them individually.
So instead of needing millions to buy a whole building, I could buy a token that represents a small fraction of it, kind of like crowdfunding for real estate.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. And it creates more liquidity in the real estate market because now you can trade those tokens on specialized exchanges, much like you would trade stocks.
So it's faster, easier, and potentially more profitable. But what about the legal side of things? Are there any challenges with owning a fraction of a property through tokenization?
That's a great question. The legal and regulatory frameworks are still catching up to this new technology. But progress is being made, and we're seeing more clarity emerging around how tokenized assets are treated legally.
So it's a bit of a evolving landscape, but it sounds like things are moving in the right direction. What other examples can you give me of tokenization in action?
Another exciting area is the art world. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, are being used to represent ownership of digital art. This has been a game changer for digital artists who previously struggled to monetize their work.
Right, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm still a little fuzzy on how it works. If I buy an NFT of a digital artwork, what am I actually getting? It's not like I'm getting the actual, like a physical painting.
You're getting proof of ownership. That's the key. It's like a digital certificate of authenticity that's permanently linked to the artwork and recorded on the blockchain.
So even though anyone could still right-click and save the image, the NFT proves that I own the original digital file.
Precisely. And this has created a whole new market for digital art. We're seeing NFTs of everything from memes and GIFs to virtual fashion and collectibles being sold for, well, sometimes for huge sums of money.
It's like the internet has finally found a way to value digital creativity. That's pretty amazing.
And it's not just about money. NFTs can also create new forms of engagement between artists and their fans. Some artists are using NFTs to give their collectors access to exclusive content, early releases, or even voting rights and decisions about their future work.
So it's like a digital fan club, but with real ownership stakes. That's pretty cool.
It is, and it highlights how tokenization is not just about creating new financial assets. It's about changing the way we think about ownership, community, and value in the digital age.
These are some pretty mind-blowing concepts. It's amazing to think about how tokenization could potentially change so many aspects of our lives.
Absolutely. And we're just scratching the surface.
I'm ready to scratch a little deeper. What other areas are being impacted by this technology? Welcome back. It feels like we could talk about tokenization for hours.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to explore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a rapidly evolving space. The possibilities really do seem endless.
In the last part, we were talking about real estate and the art world. But what about other industries? Where else are we seeing tokenization making waves?
One area that I find particularly fascinating is supply chain management. You know how tokenization leverages blockchain to create a digital record?
Right. It's like a digital fingerprint for an asset.
Exactly. Well, imagine being able to track the journey of a product, let's say a coffee bean, from the farm where it was grown all the way to your cup.
Or a diamond from the mine to the jewelry store.
Exactly. With tokenization, every step of the process can be recorded on the blockchain, creating an immutable and transparent record.
So it's like giving each product its own unique digital history. That's incredible. What are the benefits of having that level of transparency?
Well, one of the biggest benefits is that it helps combat counterfeiting. You know, if every product has a unique digital identifier, it becomes much harder for fake goods to slip through the cracks.
Like consumers can be confident that they're getting the genuine article. What else?
It also promotes ethical sourcing. You know, consumers are increasingly demanding to know where their products come from and under what conditions they were produced. Tokenization allows companies to provide that information in a way that can be independently verified.
So I could potentially scan a QR code on a shirt and see like the entire journey it took from the cotton farm to the store shelf.
Exactly. And that builds trust and accountability between businesses and consumers.
Are there any other benefits you can think of?
Well, tokenization can also streamline the whole supply chain. You know, by automating processes and reducing reliance on paper trails, it can make the entire system more efficient and cost-effective.
It seems like tokenization is a win-win for everyone involved. But are there any potential downsides or challenges that we need to be aware of?
Of course. I mean, with any new technology, there are always challenges. One of the biggest hurdles right now is scalability. You know, can blockchain networks really handle the massive volume of transactions that would be required if we were to track every product in the global supply chain?
Right, because we're talking about billions and billions of products.
Exactly. That's something that developers are actively working on. And then there's the cost. You know, it can be expensive for companies to implement these tokenized systems.
But I imagine in the long run, those costs are offset by the increased efficiency and reduced fraud.
That's the idea. The upfront costs can be significant, but the potential long-term savings are, well, they're pretty substantial.
It's exciting to think about how this technology could really transform global trade. Are there any other industries where you see tokenization having a major impact?
Well, the possibilities really are endless. We're seeing tokenization being explored in healthcare, finance, education, even government. It has the potential to disrupt all kinds of traditional systems and create more efficient, transparent, and equitable solutions.
It feels like we're, witnessing the birth of a whole new era of digital ownership and decentralized systems.
I think you're right. And it's all thanks to this amazing technology called blockchain. It's the foundation that makes all of this possible.
This has been an incredible journey, from digital art and fractional real estate to supply chain transparency and the potential for a more equitable future. It's clear that tokenization is going to have a profound impact on all of our lives.
I agree. And we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of what's possible. The next few years are going to be incredibly exciting as we see tokenization continue to evolve and disrupt traditional industries.
I can't wait to see what the future holds. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. This has been a truly enlightening discussion.
The pleasure was all mine. I'm always happy to talk about tokenization. It's a topic I'm very passionate about.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up this episode, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. The true power of tokenization lies not just in its technological capabilities, but in its potential to empower individuals and foster a more transparent and equitable world. It's a technology that really could change the way we live, work, and interact with each other. I encourage everyone to explore this space further and see how you can be a part of this exciting revolution.
That's a great message to end on. The future of tokenization is in our hands. Let's make it a future we can all be proud of.
Please leave a like or even better, subscribe to this channel. And bye, friends.
Bitcoin Radio, the sound of the change.